Welcome to the Precision Nutrition 5-day exercise and sport nutrition coaching course. Over the next few days, we'll cover important lessons designed to help you become a better health and fitness professional. Using real client stories and research data, I'll give you essential nutrition strategies you can use immediately to take your coaching game to the next level. Before I do that, let me explain why I think nutrition is such an important part of the coaching process. Here's something that often surprises people. Exercise alone, in other words, exercise without nutrition or lifestyle changes, doesn't work all that well. It's especially true when we're looking at changes in body composition, such as losing fat or gaining muscle, which are two of the most common goals your clients will be asking for help with. Now, this isn't just something I'm throwing out there. Several studies, including one done at the University of Texas and another done at the University of Oklahoma, have shown pretty conclusively that without a good nutrition plan, exercise on its own produces pretty disappointing results. Let's have a look at the data. In one of the key studies done at the University of Texas, researchers studied two groups of sedentary people. The first group of 50 was the control group, and they just stayed sedentary for the entire 12-week study. The second group of 50 was the exercise group. This group worked with a trainer to do 3 strength and 2 interval training sessions per week, about 5 total hours of exercise. Both groups were told to keep their diets the same, and data analysis showed that at the end of the study and at the beginning, their diets hadn't changed very much at all. What did the researchers find? Well, although the exercise group did lose statistically more fat than the control group, the total amount of fat the exercisers lost was just 1.5 pounds. Or if you use metric, that's just under 0.7 kilograms. So in this study, if these 50 people would have hired personal trainers, they would have spent about 60 hours and $3,000 to $4,000 to lose a mere 1.5 pounds or less than a kilogram of fat. That's not good. A similar experiment was done at the University of Oklahoma. Same type of study, same parameters with one group exercising and one group not, neither group changing their diet much, and the exact same results. People worked hard, but didn't really change their bodies. What we're finding in the research is that exercise alone without nutritional changes isn't all that effective at helping your clients achieve the #1 goal they're after. Now, I probably don't have to work too hard to sell you on this idea. You might have even looked at the research or seen how important good nutrition is for your own clients or for yourself. But if you're like a lot of health and fitness pros I talk to, maybe you're not quite sure how to get started with implementing real nutrition coaching into your practice. Or maybe you're worried about what you can and what you can't say to clients, or whether you have the credibility or expertise to give good quality advice. Maybe you're even struggling to make sense of the science of exercise nutrition, which includes advanced topics like how cells work, how the gastrointestinal tract functions, how the body produces and uses energy, or the biochemistry of macronutrients, just to name a few things. I found that people just getting started in the field, or even those who have a practice where all their time, attention, and effort goes into working with clients, aren't quite sure where to begin. So over the next few days, I'm going to help you fast track the process. Step by step, I'll show you exactly how my team and I have been able to produce outstanding results in 45,000 clients that we've worked with over the last 10 years. What kind of results am I talking about? Well, these 45,000 clients have lost a total of 900,000 pounds in our 1-year online coaching program. That's dramatically better than what we saw in those university studies I mentioned. The coolest part is that the top performers are losing as much as 50 or 100 pounds while working with us. Of course, success isn't just about losing fat or gaining muscle. For some people, it's also about improving their health or their athletic performance or how they feel mentally and physically. But none of that's possible if we don't know how to help clients do what they need to be doing every day, over and over and over again. We all know consistency is the most important thing, and that's where our program really shines. Among the 45,000 clients we've coached, on average, they stick to their nutrition and exercise habits about 75% of the time. Think about that. Around 3/4 of the time, our clients are doing exactly what we ask them to do without us ever seeing them in person. Compare that to how often people take their prescribed medications for heart disease, cancer, and diabetes, which is only 55% of the time. Indeed, give people a magic, life-saving pill and they take it only half the time. But with real, psychology-based health and fitness coaching, They stick to exercise and nutrition habits an amazing 3/4 of the time. Imagine how well your clients could be doing if they were sticking to their programs 75% of the time. And remember, that's an average. Our top performers have consistency around 90 to 95%. Sounds awesome, right? Well, it's not magical. It's because we have a system. And now, over the next few days, I'll share that system with you. At the end of the course, you'll have a host of new ideas and tools you can use to start helping your clients get better results, no matter what their goals are. Here's a quick overview of what you'll learn. Step 1, assess. Knowing how to assess your clients effectively will set you up for success right away. In step 1, I'll show you how to do this and share some of the questionnaires and assessments we use when starting with clients. These tools will help you determine exactly what your clients need, where they're starting, and how you can help them best today and over time. From the very first session, you and your client will be motivated and ready for action. Next, you want to make sure you can give advice that clients will understand and use. That brings me to step 2, advise. In step 2, I'll show you how to build a client-centered plan based on the assessments you did in step 1. Next, I'll show you how to share that plan with clients and guide them through the implementation. Best of all, I'll show you how to do it in a way that is clear, informative, and most importantly, in a way that starts getting immediate results. The next question, how do you know if a program's working? By setting outcome and behavior goals and tracking them properly. That brings us to step 3, measure. In step 3, I'll show you how to create the right kind of progress indicators and track them over time. I'll also show you how to gather and analyze the data you get from your client and how to use that data to point the way to the next step, which is step 4, adjust. Like steering a car, you'll need to make small adjustments over time to keep your clients on track. Using the data you collect in step 3, I'll show you how to keep doing more of what's working and how to change what isn't. I'll also show you how to adapt your program to clients' changing bodies and goals, and how to adjust a client's program to avoid the dreaded plateau. And finally, the bonus day. We believe that coaches aren't just cheerleaders or rep counters. Coaches are educators and change makers. Those are pretty amazing and powerful roles. So here's the next step. Step 5, educate and support. In this special bonus lesson, I'll share the best ways to create an environment of learning, skill development, and support. So there you have it. 5 critical steps, each taken from our work with clients, each to be covered over the next few days. Tomorrow, step 1, assess. I'll see you then. Welcome to day 2 of the Precision Nutrition 5-day exercise and sport nutrition coaching course. Today, we'll look at the first step in the Precision Nutrition coaching process, assessing your clients. As a coach, you need to have a clear step-by-step, repeatable, and trusted system for assessments for a few reasons. First, although they usually mean well and want to do a good job, your clients rarely know what they want and need from you as a coach and mentor. Even if you're a very nice person, they may worry that you'll judge them, or they may feel stupid for doing the wrong things or falling off the wagon. They may feel worried, insecure, ambivalent, overwhelmed, confused, or just busy and distracted. So they'll often tell you what they think you want to hear. Or they may come up with reasons for why they haven't gotten to their goals yet, which may or may not be accurate. It's not that clients are dumb or liars, it's that as human beings, we're not always good at knowing why we do things. Second, you don't just need information from your clients, you need the right information. By that I mean information that is actually relevant, information that is accurate, and information that you gather in the most effective and time-efficient ways. So what we're really talking about here is information gathering that's purposeful. In other words, every piece of information you ask about has a reason to be there. Focused on getting helpful and appropriate data about your client, and action-oriented. In other words, you get that information in a format that you can use immediately to create an action plan, one that your client will be excited about, do consistently, and benefit from over time. So how do you do this? Well, you need a system. In Precision Nutrition coaching and in our Level 1 and Level 2 certification programs, we have a clear process for gathering information. At your first meeting with a client, or perhaps even before you meet, you provide them with a well-structured set of questionnaires. These questionnaires not only ensure that you ask about all the right things, but also that you can repeat this process consistently with every single client. Having questionnaires filled out before you meet with someone means that your client starts thinking about these questions in advance, which gives them time to reflect. And that actually kickstarts the process of change, even before your first meeting. But regardless of when you fill out these forms, once they're completed, you'll have a ton of information to guide your discussion right away. In our programs, we use a wide range of questionnaires, worksheets, and other forms to assess and track everything from body measurements to eating habits to time use to stress, blood chemistry, and a lot more. Today, I'll start you out with a few forms that can give you a broad foundation and get you going right away. You'll see links to download all of those below the video. When you look at the forms, you might notice a few things. First, you might notice that we cover a lot of ground with a few simple assessments. We ask about everything from very practical details to clients' mindset and readiness. Most forms also have a client and a coach version. The client version is for them to fill out, and the coach version has a little script that you can use to introduce the questions to your client or a rationale for why we ask certain questions. Second, you might notice that you can use most of these forms for both an initial baseline assessment and to track progress periodically. For questions that have numeric scores, such as those that ask client to rank themselves on a scale of 1 to 10, you can use those scores to track progress as well. A client who gives you a 6 on how they feel about their eating habits when you start working together might give you a 7 in a month. That's big progress. Finally, client responses to questions can suggest what areas to work on and track. You don't even have to come up with your own ideas. Those ideas will often be right there for you in the client's own handwriting. At this point, here are a few things I suggest you focus on. First, what does the client want to do? Make sure you clearly understand the client's goals. Second, how does the client want to get those goals? What are they ready, willing, and able to do to achieve them? Third, where's your client starting out? What's their level in terms of their physical capacity and fitness, as well as their ability to be consistent with habits? At Precision Nutrition, we divide clients into nutritional levels based on what they know, what they can do, and what they can do consistently. Most clients are level 1s, and these folks have some knowledge, but they struggle to do their habits consistently and just want to look, feel, and perform a bit better. A few clients will be level 2s, who are probably higher level amateur or recreational athletes who are already quite consistent with the basics and looking for the extra edge in body composition, performance, and recovery. With these clients, we might use more advanced nutritional strategies, as well as do things like elimination diets to test for food intolerances and sensitivities. Finally, a very, very few clients will be level 3s, who are elite or professional physique competitors or athletes, such as MMA fighters, who need elite level nutritional protocols. With these athletes, not only do we do much more in-depth tailored programming and close monitoring, we might also introduce even more sophisticated protocols, like testing their genome or microbiome. Fourth, what are your clients' limiting factors and bright spots? In other words, where are they struggling and what are they doing well already? You see, at some point in their lives, most clients will have tried at least something to make body changes. So I suggest asking about what's already worked for them in the past or what's working right now. This way you can use their strengths to build their initial program. Here's what to do next. Download the forms below this video. Read through them. You don't have to understand them all, just get familiar with them. Think about why we asked the questions we've asked, and think about how you could use the information that you get from the clients. And that'll bring us to tomorrow. I'll be back with the next step in the nutrition coaching process. Step 2, advise. Specifically, we'll discuss how to use what you learned during the initial assessment to plan a client's nutrition strategy. See you then. Welcome to day 3 of the Precision Nutrition 5-day exercise and sport nutrition coaching course. In the last lesson, we talked about why it's important to assess your clients efficiently and effectively using a repeatable and standardized system of questionnaires. Now you might be wondering, okay, I've got this information, what next? And that's a good question, because your ultimate goal, of course, is to help your client take action and keep taking action until they get where they want to go. So today I'll talk about how you can translate what you learned with those assessments into a client action plan that does three things. First, the strategy should match a client's goals, readiness, willingness, and ability to actually do what you've asked them to do, especially within the context of the other life demands such as work, school, family, traveling, or whatever else they're dealing with other than nutrition and exercise. The plan should align with who your client is and what's important to them. Second, the strategy should balance getting results with a client's ability to execute and how quickly they're willing to go. Obviously, you want your clients to see progress. At the same time, you both have to agree on the trade-offs they're willing to make for this progress. Third, the strategy should be based on daily practices and build on a 5S model of habit change. First, simple. Don't overload your clients with a bunch of stuff they can't do or won't do just yet. Second, it's segmental. In other words, it's broken down into very small steps that a client can easily do. When tasks are both simple and segmented, your clients will be able to succeed each and every time, which keeps building motivation and momentum. Third, the plan is sequential. The steps go in a logical order, each one building on the next. Fourth, it's strategic. Everything you ask your client to do has a specific purpose. You're always looking for the steps that will give you a good return on investment, little actions that will add up to big results in the long run. Below today's video, you'll see a little exercise that we do with clients, the 4-circle exercise. This helps you think about how every action leads towards a goal and how to break large goals down into small daily actions. And finally, a good coaching action plan is supported. All along the way, you give your client everything they need to succeed, whether that's information or a clear action plan or help with logistics or anything else they might require to get things done consistently. So here's an example. Let's say I have a new client. Their diet isn't so great, and it's obvious they might have some nutritional deficiencies. Plus, they're often dehydrated. But they're busy, they're picky eaters, and they're not yet ready to make larger changes. So, considering their goals, who are they, what they want, and how quickly they're willing to go, which isn't very quickly, I might start them with something very simple, a daily multivitamin taken with a nice big glass of water. This takes almost no effort for the client to do. They're unlikely to resist it. I can combine 2 tasks at once, improving nutritional intake while improving fluid intake, at least a little bit. By the end of a week, my client might be feeling better, but more importantly, they feel good about their ability to do the tasks I gave them, which means that soon they might be interested in trying a next step, maybe one that's more significant, like trying some new fruits or vegetables. With this simple, strategic step, client resistance is low, consistency high, and the client is empowered to keep progressing. It's a win-win. If you had to, you could probably think of dozens of ways to apply this. Strategic daily practices that can build up client confidence and level them up to better and better results. Now you might remember that in the last lesson I talked about nutritional levels. Let's review that again. Level 1 clients are people who are completely new to eating well, or they just want some basic improvements. They just want to look, feel, and perform a bit better. Most of your clients will be level 1 clients, and that's important to remember. Unless you're working with professional bodybuilders or athletes, they'll probably be average people or recreational exercisers who don't need a lot of fancy stuff. They can get great results with a few basics done consistently. Most level 1 plans are sustainable, doable, long-term plans that focus on improving people's health, body composition, and performance. Level 2 clients are people who can do the basic tasks well and are looking for more guidance, planning, and direction to go the next level. They're clients who benefit from more tailored strategies, such as higher level recreational or amateur athletes. But they should also be able to show you that they can do the basic tasks consistently and well, and are ready for more advanced tools and techniques. This means, for instance, that their household and kitchen setup is good, and they have a solid, reliable food preparation and shopping routine. They have a regular, consistent, and appropriately designed workout schedule, and that they're prepared to put time and energy into doing what you ask them to do. Also, level 2 plans may be focused around a competition season or a particular goal, such as getting to a relatively leaner body fat or building muscle more seriously. And level 3 clients are elite or professional athletes or physique competitors who need exceptional levels of leanness, performance, and/or recovery for their jobs. Most level 3 nutrition plans are short-term plans, for instance, helping an athlete or physique competitor get competition lean over several weeks, or helping an athlete such as a fighter cut weight before a bout. Level 3 clients are ready, willing, and able to organize their entire lives around doing level 3 nutrition. They may be getting meal delivery or having a personal chef help them with meal prep. Their whole routine is dedicated to executing the plan. Often, with more advanced clients, you'll be going back and forth between level 1, 2, and 3 plans. More stringent plans when the client needs them, and more relaxed plans when it's time to take a break from strict dieting, training hard, or competing. So what does all this mean for giving your client an action plan? Well, first, you need to determine your client's level. Again, you'll do that by using your assessment forms and looking at how ready, willing, and able they are to be consistent with basic habits. Always start with the assumption that clients are level 1, even if they tell you they're more advanced. It's their job to prove to you that they can do more. Second, you need to create a strategy that matches their level and explain it to them in a way they can understand. For most clients, that means using simple language without technical jargon. It means using lots of demonstrations so that they're clear on what needs to happen. Third, we recommend that for most clients, you use a habit type approach, where you introduce a new habit or practice every 1 to 3 weeks at the pace your client can handle. For instance, let's say you have a level 1 client. Basic habits can include adding more fruits and vegetables, adding more lean protein, learning to prep meals in advance, or switching out sugary drinks for water. You can use pictures and videos for how to do this, or maybe a little cheat sheet like a shopping list. For your level 2 clients, maybe you focus more on things like workout nutrition, such as a BCAA and carbohydrate drink during and after training. Or you look at some basic nutrient timing to match their training and competition schedule. Or maybe you focus on eliminating some subtle food intolerances and sensitivities with an elimination diet. We won't talk about level 3 clients today because they usually require an in-depth, individualized approach. If you want more on that, definitely check out our level 1 certification program, because in our 600-page textbook and accompanying video lectures, we teach you how to provide comprehensive advice for all 3 levels. But for now, let's review what makes a good plan. First, a good plan matches the client data, all the information you collect in the assessments. For instance, maybe you have a client who's at level 2 for nutrition, but because they're busy and they travel a lot for work, they can only handle some very simple habits right now. As a coach, you want to match the plan to what you know from your assessment your client can do consistently. So don't give them something advanced. Give them something basic, like when you're away next week, look up a local healthy meal delivery service or grocery store and make sure you get a hotel room with a fridge. Second, a good plan is progressive. You're not trying to do everything at once. Go step by step. Third, a good plan has a plan. In other words, everything you assign to a client is connected to the outcome they want. Your client should be clear on how everything you're asking them to do relates to their goals and needs. Finally, a good plan is immediately doable. Your client should leave your planning session with a clear idea of what they're going to do, how they're going to do it, and when they're going to do it. Obviously, creating a good coaching action plan, communicating the plan effectively, and getting clients to buy into the plan is both an art and a science. Again, if you'd like to really dig into this, our PN certification program shows you how to create strategies for all types of clients at all the different stages of their coaching experience. With that said, here's what you can start on today. Review the forms you downloaded in yesterday's lesson. You can even try them out on yourself or on a hypothetical client, or even on a real client you're working with today. Look at the responses you get. Then ask yourself, if I had to assign this client 3 habits in logical order, what would those habits be and why? See if you can come up with a 5S action plan based on what you learned about your client. In the end, after a proper assessment, it's time to create an effective action plan. Hopefully today's lesson has given you some new tools for doing just that. Of course, once your client has an action plan, you want to track what they're doing and how it's working. And that leads us to tomorrow's lesson. Step 3, measure. See you then. Next up, it's time to track what your client is doing and how it's working. So today we'll look at how to measure your client's progress and use that data to help guide your decisions. But before I get into the specifics of measurement, here are two things to think about. First, in coaching, there is no failure. There's only feedback. To a coach, everything is just data and information. So if your client's results are going the way you expect, great. And if they're not going the way you expect, that's great too, because that data gives you clues about where you might need to make changes. You see, coaching is an iterative process. This means you'll try something and see how it goes, then you'll refine your advice or individualize the program further based on the results you get. So treat all information as extremely valuable. If what you do with a client doesn't work, you didn't screw up. You just learned some important insight about what doesn't work for a specific person. Now you have the chance to change your approach or try something else. Second, every decision you make as a coach should be based on data and assessment rather than guessing or imagining. You should always be asking yourself, is this working for my client? How do I know for sure whether it's working? What do the data say I should be doing next? I call this outcome-based decision-making. What works for one client may not work for another client, so you always have to pay attention to what the data are telling you, not what you think you should do, and certainly not on what worked for some other client. So now let's look at where you can be tracking and where your focus should be. Let's start by understanding the difference between a few types of metrics and progress indicators. The first type of progress metric is probably something you're familiar with, measuring the outcome of something. Outcome measures are usually numeric indicators such as a client's body weight, body fat or lean mass, blood work such as their cholesterol score, athletic performance like how much weight they can lift or how fast they can run, and so on. All of those numbers that clients are looking for in terms of end results. The second type of progress indicator is what I might call a process indicator. In other words, how your client is feeling or doing along the way. For instance, you might track things like your client's daily heart rate variability, how well they're sleeping every night, what their mood is every day, how much energy they have every day, how hungry they are, and so on. Process indicators give you a kind of running news feed about how a client is doing, and they're really helpful for alerting you to small problems before they become big ones. For example, if your client starts having several days of low energy and poor sleep, that might tell you there's something about their plan that you should change before it becomes a more serious issue. The third kind of progress measure is what I call a behavior-based indicator. These are things like how well your client is sticking to their nutrition habits and exercise plan, how effective they are at doing the important actions, and how many of those little steps they're taking towards their goals. So behavior metrics track what your client is actually doing, and these are probably some of the most important ones you'll track as a coach, because these are pretty much the only things that your clients can actually control. You can't make outcomes happen. You can't make your client's body lose 10 pounds or bench press 200 pounds or lower their cholesterol by 10 points. Your clients can't control their fat cells or muscle cells or how their body processes cholesterol. However, your clients can control their behaviors. So by focusing primarily on doing the behaviors that matter, you can have the best possible chance of working towards the outcome that your clients want. What this also means is that along with tracking those outcome measures like body weight or athletic performance, you should be tracking how consistent your clients are with their behaviors. In fact, much of your coaching should be directed at helping clients do those behaviors that really matter, helping them with information, logistics, strategies, execution, and being as consistent as possible. So let's look at how that works in terms of your process. Step one is to decide what to measure. I suggest you come up with a good selection of different types of progress indicators, some outcome measures, some process measures, and some behavior-based measures. Now, this doesn't have to be super complicated. For instance, behavior measures can be a simple yes or no. Did you do your one habit today? Find a balance between measuring a wide range of things and not overwhelming the client with too much measurement. And make sure you're measuring what actually matters to your client. Step two is to get a baseline. As soon as possible, get a baseline set of measurements so you know where your clients are starting from. It's important here to reassure your clients that whatever they're starting from, wherever they're starting from, is okay, because over time, they'll hopefully see changes and improvements. Step three is to have a schedule for regular check-ins and measurements. Decide in advance how often you're going to measure things for your client. I suggest you ask your client to track their nutrition habits every day, which again can be a simple yes/no that they tick off on a sheet. You may want to ask your client to do some simple process tracking every day too. For instance, on a scale of 1 to 10, how is your energy level or your mood today? Or how well did you sleep last night? If your client is looking for changes to their body composition, I suggest you take body measurements every 1 to 2 weeks, such as body weight and body girths. I also suggest for your body composition clients that you take photographs every 4 to 6 weeks. Often you'll be able to see changes in a photograph that don't show up on the scale or with a tape measure. And you may also want to take body fat measurements with skin fold calipers or some other reliable method every 4 to 8 weeks, depending on how quickly your client is progressing. If your client is looking to improve their blood work, you'll probably want to ask them to schedule some lab tests every 4 to 6 months. And if they're looking to improve their athletic performance, you might do specific tests with them in the gym on a regular basis. Track things like their recovery or heart rate variability, or simply use their competition performance as your progress indicators. Step 4 is to use the data you gather to make decisions. Every time you collect your client's progress metrics, take some time to analyze what's working and what's not. In particular, you really want to focus on those behavior indicators. You want to be curious about why your clients are able to do their habits or not. So if a client is able to do their habits well, why is that? What's already working and how could you do more of that? Look for clues about how your client might move forward using what the client is really good at. For instance, if their habit sheet suggests they're really good at prepping lunch to take to work, could they also be good at prepping a healthy breakfast or dinner in advance? On the other hand, if a client isn't able to do their habits well, why is that? Is the process too complicated for them? Is it too time-consuming? Is there an essential piece of information they're missing? For instance, are they not eating protein because they don't know what foods have protein or how to prepare foods with protein? Is there some resistance to the task that you might need to work through? Is there something else in the way? What you're looking for is to eventually settle on tasks that your client can do and be successful with consistently. So it's absolutely okay to simplify a task that your client is struggling with. Go ahead and make things easier if the data show that a particular task might not be an ideal fit for a particular client. It's better to start as easy and small as possible and add challenge over time as your client begins to feel more confident and successful. In tomorrow's lesson, we'll look more closely at how to adjust a client's plan based on the data that you collect here. For today, check out a few of our progress tracking sheets, which you can find below this video. These are the kinds of worksheets we use for monitoring our own clients. Download them for a few great examples of differentiating between outcome, process, and behavior metrics, and feel free to start using them right away. These ongoing measurements will give you important clues as to how you can modify a client's program based on what's working and what isn't. In tomorrow's lesson, we'll look more closely at this idea as we discuss step 4, adjust. See you tomorrow. Welcome to day 5 of the Precision Nutrition 5-day exercise and sport nutrition coaching course. You might remember yesterday I mentioned that coaching is an iterative process. This means you try something, monitor results, measure if things are working or not, and then based on the results of your measures, decide what to do next. Today we'll look more at that last step in the process, adjusting a client's plan based on what they're doing and how it's going. But first, I want to do some adjustment of my own. I want to adjust your mindset on what to look for. As coaches, we often look at what our clients are doing wrong or what their limiting factors are. And that's not bad. Analyzing a client's limiting factors and helping improve them is pretty important. It's just that if we focus too much on that, we lose sight of where our clients are succeeding. So I want to challenge you to look primarily for what your clients are doing well. See if you can find where they're moving towards their goals, even in small ways, or doing some key behaviors consistently, or showing a lot of resiliency. Look for anything that's a positive. Now, this isn't just about making our clients or ourselves feel good. There are 3 important reasons for why we look for what's already working. First, looking at where our clients are already succeeding or moving towards their goals gives us clues about our next actions. Often it's just a matter of keeping them going in the right direction or giving them a little boost to keep that existing momentum up. For instance, let's say you have a client who has a really limited range of healthy foods that they'll eat, but they're really consistent with those foods. As a coach, you can call that out as a good thing. Hey, I noticed that you've got a lot of structure here and you're really good with being consistent. I can see from your food journal that every day you make sure to get that protein at every meal. So instead of being too worried because your client is a bit of a picky eater, you can celebrate them for being so organized, for being so consistent, and for building a really solid routine. Over time, you can use that structure and routine to your advantage. Or maybe your picky eater actually tried something new this week. That's cause for celebration. Find out what made them try that new food. For instance, maybe they watched a video about how to prepare it, which gave them confidence to try cooking it themselves, and see if you can reproduce those conditions so they'll try something else new. Second, calling out what your clients are already doing well is very motivating for clients. Nobody wants to focus on the fact that they're screwing up. So the more you can focus on replicating the good things that they're already doing, the better. For instance, let's say you have a client who eats too much for their goal of losing weight, but they're a really great cook. They like making food taste delicious and making it look beautiful and appetizing. So first you praise them for being such a skilled cook. Hey, good for you. Your food journal looks like it's full of amazing meals and you're really creative with the variety. Now, after you've pointed out their strengths, your client might be more willing and ready to have a conversation about shrinking the portion sizes or adjusting the meal types to match their goals. Or they may welcome the challenge of preparing particular types of meals, such as meals with more lean protein but fewer calories, or more salads with all kinds of colorful vegetables. There's a third reason to focus on what's going well. Most clients struggle to be consistent. Even elite athletes, often especially elite athletes, struggle with consistency. Just like everyone else, they're busy, they're juggling a lot of stuff, they might be traveling and stressed out or whatever. Getting angry with your clients or thinking they all suck because they can't be consistent isn't the right mindset. Because the truth is, 99% of clients will find it hard to be consistent. Even if they see you for 3 hours a week, which is quite a lot, there are still 165 hours left in the week where they have to deal with other things. Keeping clients in the game means focusing on helping them be and feel successful, confident, and competent. You can do this by giving them the right kinds of tasks, adjusting those tasks so they can actually do them, and pointing out any progress towards their goals, especially in terms of behaviors. So what you're looking to do is this: find the right level of difficulty that a client is ready, willing, and able to do. Give that client one task at a time. Focus on making sure they can be consistent with that task. Monitor what happens, while making sure you and your client both have realistic expectations based on their nutritional level and how fast they're ready, willing, and able to go. Look especially for how consistently your clients are doing key behaviors. Help them with the logistics and execution and with removing limiting factors. Then adjust, focusing mostly on what's going well and trying to do more of that. Now, you might have questions about specific types of clients. After all, many clients have similar challenges like being busy or trying to be consistent. Yet each client will have their own unique goals, mindset, physical limitations, or real advantages. For example, you might be wondering what to do if your client is an athlete and has only a short time to prepare for competition. Or what if your client is pregnant or breastfeeding or considering getting pregnant? What if your client is an older woman going through menopause or an older man going through the related process of andropause? What if your client has come to you with dietary restrictions or food sensitivities? Or what if they're a plant-based eater? What if you're working with an entire family, all of whom have different needs and wants and preferences and routines? What if it's a client who has a physical limitation or is on medications that might affect their appetite, gastrointestinal health, energy levels, recovery, and body composition? Obviously, there are all kinds of scenarios that you might see as a nutrition coach, and you may be wondering, what are realistic expectations? What kind of progress can my clients and I reasonably see in a given time? When do I know if it's time to change or fix things? And how do I choose what to change or fix first? Well, we address these kinds of scenarios and questions and a whole lot more in our Precision Nutrition Certification Program, with detailed instructions about how to adapt your programming to each client's individual needs and situation. For now, though, I want to leave you with a few simple ideas you can use today. First, you'll have to adjust clients' nutrition programs as you go. That's just part of the process. Making adjustments doesn't mean you did anything wrong. It means that coaching is about iterating. Make sure that any adjustments you make are at the right level for your clients. Usually level 1 clients don't need any fancy stuff like supplementation or nutrient timing. They just need to focus on doing the basics better. Make sure they have all the key priorities in place, eating the right foods in the right amounts consistently, and supporting that with other lifestyle factors like reducing stress and getting enough sleep. Save the more detailed or complicated adjustments for your level 2 and level 3 clients. Second, use the data you gather to look especially for what's going well, even just a little bit. For instance, maybe your client didn't get as strong as you wanted them to get over the last few weeks, but they did get stronger. Maybe your client didn't do all their workouts, but they did 75% of them. Maybe your client is still taking medications for pain, but day to day their pain is much less and they're taking less of that medication. Maybe your client still isn't eating enough to gain much muscle mass, but they're at least eating breakfast, which they never did before. Recognize it, praise them, and use that success to help them tackle eating lunch. Third, decide what to do next based on that data. Maybe it's been 6 weeks and your fat loss client hasn't lost any weight, inches or millimeters on the skin fold calipers. It's probably time to explore adjusting their energy intake, adding more physical activity, or looking for places where extra calories might be sneaking in unintentionally. Or you may have to address the fact that your client is doing some emotional eating. Maybe you have a client who really wants to go low carb because they've heard that it's healthy, but they're really trying to do it and all their indicators, their mood, their energy, their hormone levels, recovery, appetite, everything show it's not working for them. It's probably a good time to revisit the question of their carb intake, using the data you've collected to show how the outcomes they're getting are related to their choices. And by the way, maybe you think that a low carb diet or some other type of diet is better. But if your client data show otherwise, you have to pay attention to the facts and adjust your plan accordingly. Even if a certain kind of diet works for 95% of your clients, there's still that 5% for whom it won't work, and you have to work with reality. Think like a scientist. Always make your decisions based on the data. In the end, below this video, you'll see 2 downloadable worksheets that you can use to capture your clients' limiting factors, advantages, skills, and goals. Use these to help put together a program that can evolve as they evolve. Over time, as you learn more about your client, you can fill them in more and more to build a comprehensive strategy and action plan. Okay, that's it for today. At this point in the coaching process, you will have assessed your client, made recommendations based on what you've learned about them, measured what they're doing and how it's going, and made adjustments based on their superpowers and limiting factors. This model is highly effective but leaves out 2 important components of coaching: education and support, which is why I'll be back tomorrow with a special bonus day. In step 5, educate and support, I'll share some really useful resources for creating long-term coaching relationships with your clients. See you then. Welcome to a special bonus day of the Precision Nutrition 5-day exercise and sport nutrition coaching course. In this lesson, we'll talk about how you can provide the right kind of education and support for your clients as you collaborate on helping them eat, move, and live better. To begin, let's talk education. Now, when most people think of education, they think professors, textbooks, and lectures. Even more, they think of the transfer of intellectual information from someone who knows that information to someone who doesn't. And usually that transfer comes in a very academic kind of way. You have to learn new terms, memorize stuff, and activate your thinky brain or your higher brain centers located right here in your frontal cortex. Now, I love this kind of information. I stayed in school for a really long time and earned a PhD. But in the context of coaching and education, it has to be different. Winning over a client's thinky brain isn't the goal. You want your teachings to penetrate the parts of their brain that govern routine, habit, and emotion, because they're the parts that drive the bus when it comes to lifestyle change. This is why at Precision Nutrition, every lesson we share, every assignment we give, is directly attached to a daily habit or practice that a client is working on. So let's say a client's working on eating more fruits and vegetables for a 2-week habit period. During those 2 weeks, we'll share a series of lessons or send them out on assignment to directly support the things they're working on day in and day out. Plus, what we share will be short, specific, and highly practical, not conceptual. It'll focus mostly on how to, although we do share some what to and why to information from time to time as well. For example, when working on eating more fruits and vegetables, we'll share information on how to shop for, store, prepare and make convenient a wide range of colorful, nutrient-packed fruits and veggies. We might even send them out to a farmer's market to purchase one new vegetable, have them Google one interesting way to prepare it, and then have them actually include it in their dinner. Likewise, we won't necessarily share content on workout nutrition, protein intake, or meal timing during this time. While those topics are great, they're not related to what the client is thinking, feeling, and experiencing in their daily practice, so we save them for later. Got a great article on workout nutrition you'd like clients to read? Great. Share it when they're specifically trying to improve workout nutrition through a daily practice. Want clients to learn more about the difference between natural carbohydrates and high fructose corn syrup? Awesome. Share it when working on a carb-related habit. By delivering learning materials that are directly related to the skills your clients are actively practicing and therefore thinking about, experiencing, and feeling, you'll be sharing information when they're most primed for learning. Plus, you'll be reducing the risk of distraction and information overload. So give this approach a try. Next up, let's move beyond education. Sure, education is important, but amazing coaching goes beyond education alone. It relies on the coaching relationship you build with each client. In fact, over the years, I've learned that a coach's success is dependent on how effectively they can create connection with a client, how they go about educating the client, how they communicate, and how they make the client feel supported. In that last part, I say feel supported because often we think we're supporting clients when they don't see it that way. For instance, if a client comes to me and they're struggling with something, for example, maybe their athletic recovery hasn't been going so good lately, or they're noticing some emerging food sensitivities, and instead of really listening to them and understanding their perspective and situation first, I start spouting off what I know and telling them what to do. Even if my advice is awesome, they won't feel like I'm supporting them or making the effort to really get where they're coming from. In the lesson where we covered step 2, advising your client, I told you about our 5S method, where you create a plan that's simple, segmental, strategic, and supported. That supported piece is crucial. Sure, some clients who are ridiculously motivated and relentlessly tenacious might be able to figure out this stuff and Lone Ranger their way towards their goals. Maybe. But in my experience, most people need some amount of coaching and support. And that's okay. It's not a sign of weakness or incompetence. It's how we learn to read, write, walk, and talk. It's how we learn to do a job and improve professionally. It's how we become better parents and partners. It's how we grow as human beings with coaching, support, and accountability. The individualist hero who accomplishes big things all by themselves is a myth. On the other hand, the following ingredients breed success. First, encouragement during the courage phase. The courage phase is the gap between committing to something and possessing the skills to accomplish it. At this moment, you're committed, but not quite capable. Moving forward takes courage. At times like this, it's nice to borrow courage from a coach or mentor who's been through the process themselves. 2, a known cadence of accountability. We all know accountability, regularly checking in with someone, is important. The social commitment helps us stick with what we started. But did you know accountability works best if it happens at regular expected times? Whether through an app, in a group, one-on-one, accountability should have a known cadence. Interesting fact, in our survey of over 12,000 people, over 80% of the respondents ranked accountability as a very important part of getting in shape. However, nearly 80% of those folks said they didn't have a way of keeping themselves accountable. 3, positive progress focus. Most of the fitness industry hasn't gotten the memo. Comparing yourself to some superhero ideal doesn't work. It makes you feel inadequate, like you'll never get there, which is why it's important to seek out and shine a light on any and all positive progress. Bonus points for celebrating that progress when it happens. In our coaching programs, we relentlessly look for this sort of thing. Sometimes that means standard metrics like weight lost or calories consumed, but mostly we track unconventional things that point to the real progress a client is making. Even if clients aren't seeing physical results yet, if they're showing up, good things are happening. By identifying and celebrating that stuff, the progress will follow. And 4, proactive obstacle identification. Of course, it's not all high-fiving and progress celebration. Sometimes real challenges come up. That's a fact of life. Strategies are required to move past these inevitable obstacles. What's better than solving a problem? avoiding that problem in the first place. That's what great coaching can do. Experienced coaches can give clients a heads up in advance about what they're likely to come up against. That way clients know what problems to look out for and they're less likely to get derailed. To help with this, check out the resources below this video. I've shared some specifically for you and some for your clients. These will help you build up your education and support practices as you work toward becoming an elite coach. In the end, thanks so much for being part of this free course. I hope you've learned a lot and have started trying new coaching experiments with your clients. Of course, there's a lot to know to become a world-class coach. Plus, it takes a lot of practice to get good at the coaching techniques I've outlined here. Like all other skills, you can't expect to master them overnight. If you'd like some help continuing your development as an elite health and fitness pro, consider working with us through our renowned Level 1 certification program. Developed over 10 years and tested with close to 50,000 clients, the Precision Nutrition Level 1 certification synthesizes everything we've learned over decades of coaching and research in the nutrition field. It's designed for elite health, fitness, strength, and rehab professionals working with clients in a training or coaching environment. And it's based on the university nutrition courses we teach and the data we've collected from tens of thousands of precision nutrition clients over the